S3 gets a juicy refresh here for 2025, but it's more than just a facelift. As always, I'm going to go through this car from the outside in, talk about what it's been like to live with for the past week, and talk about how it compares to that new M235 I was just in a couple of weeks ago. Let's go ahead and take a look. The biggest news for the 2025 S3 is the performance upgrades. A bunch of parts have been pulled off of the RS3. I mean, not literally, well, maybe literally. There's probably some dude out there that's missing a bunch of parts for his RS3. The S3 borrows the torque splitter and some suspension components for better lateral dynamics and traction. When it comes to straight line speed, you have the same 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder as before, but it gets a bump of 22 horsepower up to 328 now. And the 7-speed dual clutch has been retuned. Now it is much quicker when you're under heavy load coming from a stop. Peak torque remains the same at 295 pound-feet, and your fuel economy is estimated at 26 miles per gallon combined. That's if you can stay off the throttle. Anyway, I'm getting right around 21, 22. I can't stay off the throttle. Changes to the exterior include a wider frameless front grille design, some new lighting signatures, including 4 different designs for the DRLs, some rear end updates borrowing design cues from its more performance-oriented big brother, and laser-etched Audi and S3 TFSI Quattro here in the B-pillar. This one being the Prestige, it gets the Matrix Design LED headlights that are adaptive. Note they're Matrix Design, not full-on Matrix functionality like they get in other parts of the world. Yay, America and our great testing standards. But hopefully we'll see those sooner than later. And you get the fog lights in here as well. Note parking sensors are up here, but there is no camera because there's no 360 view available for the S3. That's 1 point for the M235. Note the black badges, the black mirror caps, the black window surrounds, these bicolor 19-inch wheels, which replace the standard 18s, are all part of the $1,600 black optics pack. If you want the black roof, that will set you back another $300. The red calipers poking through the front wheels are indicative of the S Sport pack, which gives you the Sport Tune suspension with adaptive dampers. And while you get the choice between all-season run flats or performance summer non-run flats, my tester here showed up on winters on this 75-degree week here in New England. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. The mirrors power fold, auto dim, they're heated, they've got the turn signal in there, blind spot monitoring, all that good stuff. Plus you've got keyless access to both the front and the back doors, the ability to lock and unlock from either one. The back end of the design of the S3 is one of the better cars out there. I don't know what it is about the back end design of cars nowadays, but a lot of them just look weird from the back end, and that is not the case here with the S3. This one looks great. I love the taillight design. I love the way they did the badges, the diffuser down low, and the quad exhaust with the black tips. It looks great. And this pops open into a decent amount of space here with a pretty low height here for entry. It doesn't have the quite the flat floor with no lip here like the BMW M235 had, but still pretty low, pretty easy to get stuff over and into, and pretty decent amount of space here. Underneath the floor, you got a little bit of space, but not a whole lot, and your batteries down under there, as well as your fix-a-flat kit, because there is no spare tire. Got a 12-volt off to the side, and then you got the 40-20-40 split on the seats if you want to drop those down for a little bit extra space. Do have a spot to grab up here if you don't want to touch the paint. And you do have a way to pop that open on the key fob as well. You just can't close it from the fob. No remote start on the fob though. Even if you can tap the lock button as many times as you want. It will not start this thing up. One little trick though, if you tap the unlock and hold that down for a couple of seconds, it'll open all the windows. If you tap the lock and then hold that down for a couple of seconds, it will not do anything. At first glance, the interior of the S3 looks a lot like it did last year, but if you know what to look for, there are actually some changes in here, including some nicer materials, a new shifter, a standard ambient lighting package, and your upgraded sound system is no longer Bang & Olufsen, now it is a Sonos system. You now get a 3-year trial period for the Audi Connect subscription instead of the 6 months that you would have gotten last year, and you have access to the Audi App Store, which means you can download apps like Spotify and Waze directly to your infotainment system. The overall feel of the interior still is nice and classy. It is a bit more mature, a little bit more subdued than the BMW counterpart, apart, but overall really nice feel. I do love these seats. This one has the fine Napa leather option on it, and they are quite nice. They are heated as standard, but there is no ventilation option and no massage. The M235 now has massage here for 2025, so hopefully we'll see that soon in the S3. No heated steering wheel either, but the steering wheel does feel quite a bit nicer than the one in the BMW, since this one does have the leatherette and that one had the Veganza vegan leather in it instead. I really like the layout of this wheel. Everything is nice and compact. I do wish that the adaptive cruise stuff wasn't on a stalk down here. I do wish that was down here on the wheel, but overall, really good usability in terms of the rollers and buttons here. You can use these buttons to change the layout and information in your fully digital gauge cluster, which is very clean and clear. Note that the full round steering wheel that I have here is only in the upper two specs. The base trim actually gets a flat bottom steering wheel, but this one is touch sensitive so that it knows if your hands are on the steering wheel when you're using the adaptive cruise. This one, being the Prestige, also gets the heads-up display with a crystal clear display showing your things like your speed limit, and any other driver's assist features that might be going, as well as your nav, if you've got your nav going through your infotainment. It also adds the memory seat settings here on the side and the extra ambient lighting through the door with this cool pattern. It's kind of interesting that BMW added that to the M235 at the same time that Audi added that lighting to the S3. It's a very similar pattern. As for your infotainment, you got your pretty standard fare here in terms of vehicle settings, driver's assist settings, safety settings, and your sound settings. You do have navigation through here. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay are both wireless as standard and have worked quite well. You got your notifications and alerts in a drop down up at the top, as well as some quick access to a couple other settings. Your home page is customizable here, and you do have a search as well. I really like the way Audi does their layouts. All of the blocks are very crystal clear, simple drawings that really tell you exactly what they are, and nice big buttons, very easy to use, very quick. Plus, you still have access to all of your HVAC controls down here as physical buttons. It is a little bit odd still that some of these are both up and down switches, and then the lower ones down here only go down. Like if you want to go through your different drive modes, you have to cycle all the way through by pressing down. But if you want to change your fan speed, you can go up or down. Little nitpicky, but sort of an interesting little thing. Your heated seats are still a button here outside of the infotainment. I really love to see that, as well as your auto start stop. In the M235, they buried that auto start stop in the infotainment. Parking assist buttons down here as well, some USB-Cs and a wireless charger. I like the way that Audi tilts the wireless charger away from you, and it's rubberized. That means that your phone's not going to move around. It's going to be charging the whole time, and you're not tempted to look down at it either. Some volume control down here, a lot of glossy black around the new shifter. New shifter is fine. I didn't really think that needed to be updated. I think it's a lateral move, but there is a new shifter. This glossy black around the shifter is just killing me. This is not a change from last year, but has so many fingerprints and smudges all over it, and there's like, it's all up here, all across here, and all around the shifter. That is really the one thing in this interior that I would just have to throw out. Outside of that, the rest of the interior is so classy and nice feeling. It's got all the nice leather. Seats have nice materials. Yeah, there's some plastics down here, but overall they did a really good job with the materials and with the look. Really like this texture through here with the Quattro. Very nice. Got your ambient lighting through the cup holders, your parking brake, your 12 volt, a little bit of extra space in here, not a whole lot. Auto dimming mirror with a compass in it, and it's got the home link on there, so you can access up to 3 garage doors. You do have a standard sunroof as well. Doesn't go all the way back, but definitely a nice touch there to have that as standard. Rear seats are pretty decent for such a compact sedan. Me at 5'7", I just kind of barely fit behind myself. If it weren't for this cutout in the seats, I'd probably be rubbing up against it. If you are a family of taller people, or if you have anyone but kids back here for extended periods of time, you're probably going to want to go up into the S4 or a bigger sedan. But for short trips around town, I would be totally fine back here behind myself. Forward-facing car seats are probably going to be okay back here, again, as long as this seat isn't way back. A rear-facing car seat might fit if you have your passenger shoved way up eating their knees, but I would probably recommend getting into a bigger sedan for something like that. Other than that, you know, my headroom is pretty much, again, right at the limit. So legroom and headroom pretty much right at the limit here at 5'7". Do have some vents back here though, some USB-Cs and a fold-down armrest with cup holders. Not too shabby of a place to be, just a little bit on the tight side. As always, I've been driving the S3 around for the last week, both daily driving as well as getting some good spirited drives in. And, you know, 22 horsepower is a little bit tough to feel, that bump of 22 horsepower over last year. But the rest of the performance upgrades, you certainly can. The torque splitter and the chassis updates make for much better balance in the corners. The S3 is still based on a front-wheel drive architecture, but the Quattro system can send up to 50% of your torque to the back wheels. And the new torque splitter is in the rear, which means that the torque that does go to the back can then be split side to side. That helps for better traction and balance when you're pulling through corners. And it works quite well. Between the torque splitter and the suspension tweaks, this definitely handles much better than it did pre-facelift, and I'm not even in the new Dynamic Plus mode. The transmission changes are also very noticeable. Responsiveness from a stop is something that usually BMW shines really well at. This S3 gets off the line much quicker than that M235 I was just in. And as you go up through the gears, there's no jerkiness or shuddering. Those are things I just have come to expect from a dual clutch. Not all the time. I mean, in that BMW, it was here and there around town. 99.9% of the time it was fine, but occasionally it would show itself. The S3, that jerkiness is non-existent. It's very smooth. And once you get moving quickly, you gotta stop quickly. The brakes, perfect. If I had to make one complaint about the driving experience, it's the delay when you want to shift for yourself. I'm pretty sure that pulling a paddle just alerts somebody in Germany who then has to locate your car and shift for you. It's like a full second delay. Beyond spirited driving, the daily driving is quite comfortable. You know, it's on the stiff side if you're comparing it to other luxury cars, but for a compact sports sedan, short wheelbase, performance oriented, it rides pretty nice. There are a handful of driver's assist features. It's got the pre-collision warning in the front, the rear cross traffic alert, blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise, lane keep, where it'll shove you back into your lane. There's no true like lane centering like BMW has, which is a nice thing for the highways. You know, it'd be nice to have that, but the adaptive cruise itself works quite well and works down to stop and go traffic. And as always, Audis like to just kind of beep for no reason. I mean, the assist settings, it'll beep and then it'll show a symbol. It'll tell you what's going on. But every once in a while, there's just a random single beep, and I have no idea what it's about. Par for the course, I guess. But I'm going to get a little bit nitpicky about the driving experience. It's a little bit loud in here, especially on the highway. But, you know, we're entry level into the Audi lineup, entry level luxury. Plus, it's an S, it's an S3, not an A3. And the fact that I'm on winter tires, I'm sure, is not helping. Overall, I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't have a problem living with this on a road trip or anything, but for a luxury car, it could be a little bit quieter. And the overall driving experience is really quite nice. Any issues with the driving are nitpicky at best. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed my time this week with the S3, and in a lot of cases, I tend to lean more towards the BMW counterpart than the Audi, like the M340i I prefer over the S4. It's because of its driving dynamics, but the S3, even though it doesn't have quite the same features as the new 2 Series, the new M235, you can't get the surround view camera, you can get massage seats, a couple other nice things. This one is much more responsive. The transmission updates, the new torque splitter, the chassis upgrades really help in terms of those spirited drives, and in those daily drives, it's just much more responsive, quicker off the line, and very smooth. It is a very nice driving experience, both in terms of daily driving and in terms of spirited drive. So I would pick the S3 over the new 2 Series. As always, let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.